everybody. So we're going to be going over kind of probably one of my funnest builds that I'm playing with right now. It's kind of a foam spamming build, uh, lots of amplified damage and stuff. So I guess let's get into it, huh? So this right here is my foam spamming build. Uh, Kind of to get into it first, the the specialization, survivalist specialization. The reason why I utilize this one is because status affected enemies get 10% additional damage from your teammates. So let's say you're shooting somebody, you foam them, your teammates are also shooting those guys. Uh, when they're foamed, your teammates are getting 10% amplified damage against that enemy. If they're bleeding with your bleed hive, your teammates are getting 10% amplified damage against that enemy. Um, so it's nice because they're getting all that extra damage. On this one, I use a Lady Death, primarily just because you get that extra damage. Since they nerfed it, it's not as strong, but with this build, it's pretty strong. So this is blue, non-blue, blue, non-blue. Blue is PvP stats for any newer players that are not familiar with that. And I believe that's L3. Yeah, L3 that brings up your blue stats. So Lady Death, it got nerfed about 15%. See right there in that center paragraph, each round fired consumes a stack, amplifying damage by 60% in PvP. In PvE, it's 75%. This one is my secondary. I pretty much just use this one for that perfect sledgehammer because when I hit somebody with this grenade, uh, one, they're going to get amplified damage against them from my teammates, but also they're going to be getting the perfect sledgehammer. Dealing damage with a grenade applies a mark on a target. Targets with mark will take 40% more damage to armor and have a 30% negative movement speed. And the mark disappears after 10 seconds. That's pretty huge. I've used it quite a bit. I don't use it all the time just because honestly I kind of forget about it. But when I do use it, it helps out a lot because I can catch up to them really quickly. They take a crap ton of extra damage. The best part about this is you don't have to keep this equipped. Let's say I throw a grenade and I damage the enemy while I have this equipped. I get to switch right back to my Lady Death, and the mark stays. It's pretty nice. The purple gun, it's meaningless. It doesn't mean a thing. I usually just wear this to kind of troll people. Back in the day, people were saying, "Oh, if you wear the purple gun with Ignite from New York, you won't die, or you'll get double armor and unbreakable." None of that's true. I just have no purpose or need to utilize a secondary. I'm sorry, a sidearm. So this has just kind of been my sidearm since then, unless I need the tier with the other gun. Now let's get into the mask. The mask, this mask it's pretty big on this build just because I want to get that Lady Death as much damage as I can, especially since in PvP instead of 75% extra damage, it's only amplified by 60. Um, so in this one, let's go and take it to Vicious Cycle. Taking damage builds stacks to a cap of 30. Each stack grants 1% weapon damage. Taking damage at the max stack triggers a purge, removing all stacks and status effects, and then dropping a healing cloud, which restores 5% of your armor for 10 seconds to all allies in the cloud. That's pretty awesome. So essentially, you have like a pretty dope regen build on, but you don't. As long as you're strafing and running around inside that cloud, for the most part, as long as you're strafing, you don't have a hard hitter, you don't have multiple enemies shooting you, you're more than likely going to survive if you can strafe pretty good inside that cloud. This one right here, Grupo, it's pretty self-explanatory. Grupo, 15% right there. That brand set first attribute, 15% critical hit damage. That's quite a bit. You know, you need as much damage as you can get. It also has Unbreakable. Unbreakable. Now those are PvE stats right there. This is a PvP stat. When your armor is depleted, repair 50% of your armor. You only get 50% of your armor back on this one. You're not going to get a whole full stack of armor. Now the Picaro's holster. This is the named holster. This one's kind of cool. You still can't roll um, damage on the armor core, but nonetheless, it's amazing because right now, this is as if I'm rocking 4 armor cores instead of 5. Because if you'll notice there on the bottom, it says 15% weapon damage. So I have armor and I have 15% weapon damage. So that means my Lady Death base damage right there, 80.3k. Let's see what it is over here. 26,725. That's not a lot, but at the same time, when you're mixing it with getting the the stacks from your mask. Also getting your stacks from Wicked. I'll go over that in a second. But the Picaro holster is pretty clutch. You can't really change. You could change the Picaro holster to have a skill tier, but no weapon damage. But I love this holster. It's a go-to holster. These ones, if you're not a newer player, you're pretty familiar with these two. And if you're not a newer player, you're pretty familiar with everything. But for the newer players, these knee pads are pretty clutch. They're almost best in slot, if not best in slot. And the reason being is because that center attribute there, you get 8% damage to target out of cover. That's pretty big. I mean, that's a lot of damage. So if you have these knee pads, or if you're thinking about wearing them, you don't always have to roll armor on them. I rolled armor on mine because I wanted some more armor. But 8% damage to target out of cover it's pretty amazing. Then you have the contractor's gloves. These you get 8% damage to armor. Now the cool thing is your Lady Death already has damage to armor on it. So you're getting 6% plus the 8%, which is a good amount of armor. I mean, 15% armor is not bad. Sorry, 14%. So now let's get to the other beauty. This is kind of where it's at. This is kind of what this backpack and the mask are kind of what make this build. The reason being is because of Wicked. So one, at the top there, you can see that brand set attribute is 10% SMG damage. So that's giving you 10% extra damage to your base damage, not your overall damage. That 10% only amplifies or only increases from your base damage. But the best part about this is Wicked. So Wicked doesn't change for PvP. For PvE and PvP, it is exactly the same. Wicked. Applying a status effect increases total weapon damage by 18% for 20 seconds. So when I run up on somebody and I foam them, they're taking that 18% weapon damage right off the bat. Quick, boom. If they're hive, if there's multiple players around and I'm toss my hive down and they're all bleeding, that's extra damage, 18%, to every single one of those enemies that are bleeding. Not only that, your team is also getting 10% additional damage to those enemies because of your survivalist specialization. See, this is huge because you're amplifying your team's damage, you're also amplifying your damage, but you're also foaming them and slowing them down with the bleed so your team can really get after them. So let's go take a look at the survivalist specialization here real quick, just so we can go over everything, because for that 200% armor kit, but this one kind of has something pretty similar. This armor kits now repair over 5 seconds instead of instantly, but also apply to group members within 20 meters. That is huge. So like when we're sitting there taking a ton of damage from all those skill players with their tier 6 hives and their sticky bombs and all that, I can legit just break off, pop a med kit real quick right next to everybody as long as we're all sticking tight and they all get my armor kit. So if they're out of armor kits, or they don't need to use their armor kits right then and there, or they don't have time to just because they're taking status effects and they're just trying to survive, they pop their med kit. Let's say they have a tier 6 sticky bomb hit you. That shit's wicked. It hits you, they're popping their med kit, and you're popping your med kit, you're close together. They're getting like a double med kit right there. So they're going to be able to survive. So this is really, really good for team survival as well. Now, the incendiary grenade. The incendiary grenade applies burn to targets within the radius. This thing it's got a pretty big radius, and the fire makes it to where they can't aim. So that's why I like to utilize this specialization for my go-to build, because this right here means if I toss a grenade at them and I start noticing that they're damaged by the grenade, not only am I getting the amplified damage, or everybody's getting the amplified damage against them from the perfect sledgehammer, but they can't aim their gun. So when you're running up on them, they essentially can only try to run away. They can't really fight you all that well. So you can shoot them and kill them pretty quick. So that's the build. And if you notice on this one, it has incoming repair, armor regen. All of them have crit damage, crit chance, crit chance, crit damage, crit damage, crit damage, crit chance. These are good. This is a good build. This is a fun build. When I first started rocking this build, I was not good with foam at all. I sucked. I was missing everything. I still miss from time to time. But if you practice, you get good at it. This build's going to work really, really, really good for you. So let's take a look at the gameplay, and hopefully you like it. Drop a like, try the build, let me know how it works for you. Later.